Hey folks, David Wills here at TED-IELTS, and today I would like to talk to you about how we can find and fix the mistakes in our writing. So many of you know that I have this IELTS writing correction service where I help people to improve their writing skills. I do this by reading their essays, telling them all the mistakes that they're making as well as the things they're doing right, and telling them how to change that. Of course, this is not for everybody. Some people, they want other methods. Some people want cheaper methods or free methods. And so I would like to look at that seriously because there are definitely ways you can do this for free, but we need to ask whether it's really going to tell you everything that you need to know. And so the thing we're going to look at today is Grammarly. So what is Grammarly then? So Grammarly is this program that you can install on your computer. It could be an extension for your browser, for Google Chrome, or it could be a standalone piece of software or a plugin. And basically when you write something, it is going to tell you whether there's any mistakes in it or not. It's pretty good. I use it, and whenever I'm writing emails from my Gmail account, it will tell me if I've spelled a word incorrectly, or if I've been typing so fast that I missed the article, or I've used the wrong preposition for some reason. Now, even as a professional writer and an editor, this does happen, and it is good to be able to see those mistakes very easily and change them. I like to think I can see them myself before I send the email, but of course sometimes you miss these things. So Grammarly is great for that. But can it help you, the IELTS student? Well, let's see. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take 4 samples of writing by real IELTS students, and I'm going to see what Grammarly suggests. So I have pre-saved these already, and these are all from people that follow me on Facebook, from the TED-IELTS page. You can follow TED-IELTS yourself. So here's sample number 1. It's a paragraph, and we can see there are some underlined parts in red. And we can see from this little Grammarly pop-up when you hover over the word that it will tell you, usually tells you the problem and how to fix it. So here it says, school play an important role in the society. So this is telling us that we've used the wrong preposition, and this is actually correct. Yeah, it should be in. If we click on this, that will change it. Also, we've got here, remove the article, the society. Yeah, indeed. So we should change this by removing the article. We almost never say the society in English unless you're going to define society. The society that he had grown up in, for example. So we can change that. What about this sentence now? Is this correct? As these days, school play an important role in society. This is not even close to being correct, to be honest. We would need to change this further. So there's no such cohesive device as these days. Instead, we would change to these days. Then we have this phrase here, school play. Of course, we cannot say that. This is subject-verb disagreement. School plays an important role in society. Now our sentence is better. So you can see there in this sentence there were 4 mistakes, and Grammarly caught 2 of them, and I caught the other 2 of them. I'm a little surprised Grammarly didn't catch the other ones, but there are reasons for that. So the first one, he said, as these days. To be honest, I think this is so far from proper English that Grammarly could not tell what this person wanted to do. So it just couldn't guess. One thing, when you have a real human editor, when you make a big mistake in English, the editor can guess at your meaning and then try to change what you said into something in proper English. But a computer might be a little more lost. They don't quite have the same intuition. Then school play. So the problem here is, we know school is the subject and play is the verb. So it should be school plays. But I think Grammarly has looked at this and thought of it as the phrase school play. So a school play is a noun, and it refers to a theatrical production put on by the pupils of a school. So I think Grammarly was confused about this, and it didn't know that it was subject-verb. So the next sentence then, you can see Grammarly is telling us to change this to well-developed. And yes, we should say well-developed. The problem there, though, is actually we would not say there are well-developed nations. We would just say developed nations. So Grammarly's suggestion here is not quite correct. And there's another problem here. It says few developed nations. There's a big difference in English between few and a few. If you want to read about that, you can go back to TED-IELTS.com and you can go to our main page, and I have an article, there we go, down here from a few months ago called Few versus a Few versus Some. Just to put it basically in its most simple way, few means almost zero. If I said few people, it means almost no people. But a few means some. It means there are some. In this case, contextually, he certainly meant a few. So a few developed nations have already reduced the number of hours in school schedule. So yeah, we would need to say the school schedule, a school schedule. That's unlikely. Another possibility, though, that Grammarly has not suggested here, realistically, you probably meant to put an S on the end of there. So I think school schedules, in this case, we're talking in general. So I think that is better. A few developed nations have already reduced the number of hours in school schedules. So the last sentence Grammarly is telling us is okay. From my point of view, it is a positive development, and I will explain in further paragraph. Right, Grammarly thinks this is okay, but we actually have one of the biggest mistakes that you can make. If we look here, the word in is written with a capital letter. Well, we can't just use a capital letter for no reason in English. We use it for the first word in a sentence, and we use it for proper nouns as well. In this case, there was absolutely no reason for it. We also say in further paragraphs. Grammarly is suggesting the further paragraph. That is not correct. That is not possible. There will be 4 paragraphs in an essay. If you said the further paragraph, it suggests the next one, the only one that comes next, but it's still not right. It's somewhere between later in this paragraph and in the next paragraph. What we would change this to is in the next paragraphs. There we go. So showing that the answers are going to come in paragraph 2 and 3 and maybe paragraph 4 as well. You can see then Grammarly got some of the changes, but not all of them. And one suggested change, when it did finally recognize it, it was actually just going to make a problem into another problem, which would not help you. And if you're using Grammarly to learn English and it is teaching you these things that are not correct, you're going to internalize them. You're going to remember new bad grammar. That is a big problem. That is why you need a professional who really understands the language and how to teach to tell you the right things. Right, so we've demonstrated this with one paragraph now. Let's look at another one. So you can see Grammarly is faster than a real human editor. It picked up there, we have 2, 4, 6, 7 mistakes, I think, in about 1 second. I can't do that, but let's see if these are actually correct or not. So as cities continue to grow, urban region 10, right. So here the first mistake, urban region, are we just talking about one? No, we're talking about many, right? And if we were talking about one, we would say an urban region, or if we already knew it, the urban region. But we're talking about many, so we say urban regions. That means that we need to change, well, that was suggesting that we needed to change the verb, but of course I just changed it. So yeah, we would say an urban region tends to, or urban regions tend to. Then we've got some big problems here. Tend to building in skyscraper. This is really confusing, and I think Grammarly has been thrown off. But it has corrected the verb, which is correct. We can't say tend to built. Built is past tense, past participle there. We need to use the present simple, tend to build. Tend to build, building. Again, it's come up with a new suggestion here, a building, the building. This just doesn't make sense. We would say tend to build skyscrapers. Not just one skyscraper. And again, if it is one, you need to say a skyscraper. You cannot just use the verb with no article and no plural form or anything like that. So urban regions tend to build skyscrapers, whereas other cities prefer. So I think this person was French, and in French I think that is how you spell prefer. So the spelling was wrong there. A large, I'm guessing this is supposed to be barrier land. I don't quite know what this person is trying to say here. This sentence is now grammatically correct, but in terms of meaning, I would have to speak with this person and ask them, what do you mean by barrier land? There's no phrase like that really in English. Also, a problem might be, how do urban regions do this? Well, it's the people living there, or the government of that place that is doing this. So there are more problems that you need a human editor to fix, and partly that's because the human editor can talk with the writer. In my opinion, constructing a building like a tower will save space. Also, it will be well accommodate. Okay. So here, I think we need to split our clauses and say and also, because you cannot just start a new clause with also, with no punctuation, just smashing these two clauses together. We need to think, how can we bring our clauses together according to the rules of grammar? In this case, we can say comma and. It will be accommodate. Well, this person's trying to use the passive voice. There's no need to do that. It will accommodate. I'm gonna say more people. Yeah, I don't know what you mean. What he means by population point of view. That doesn't really make sense. But I can kind of guess he means it can accommodate more people. Again, this person has misused further. That's a weird one. I would say just in this essay, because we don't need to say further, you could say later in this essay, I will explain in detail, I will explain my position in detail and provide an example. There, I think that would do it. Alright, so again, we can see Grammarly has found some mistakes, but not all of them, not even that many of them, to be honest. You need a human editor to kind of intuit what was intended. Let's see sample number 3 now. So this is from task 1. This is from a diagram that shows the life cycle of a salmon, which is a kind of fish. There are some problems with almost everyone's essays when they write about this, because we have some weird language when talking about animals like salmon. We don't pluralize them, for example. We don't say one salmon, two salmons. It's just always salmon. But you wouldn't really be expected to know this for IELTS. It's quite a difficult thing. Alright, so we can see 2 mistakes here. The first one, this is a typo. The word and has become on. So Grammarly finds things like that quite easily. We can click that and correct it. And here, yeah, also the missing article. It would find it very quickly and correct it. So when Grammarly works, it works pretty efficiently like that. So let's check this for more mistakes. Overall, there are 3 stages in salmon's life. So we cannot use this, this noun just by itself. We would probably say a salmon's life, because this means any one. One out of all of the billions of salmon in the world. So we can say 3 stages in a salmon's life. Yeah, that works well. Maybe a slightly better way to say this would be in the life of a salmon, because then we're putting the focus on the life rather than one particular salmon. But that would be moving from, you know, a good description to an excellent description. It's a small change. And those stages distinguished by their size and living area. Yeah, so the problem here is we need to use the passive form of distinguished. Yeah, so we can put in are here, the plural form there, by their size and living area. I suppose that could be correct. Yeah, I would have to look back to the chart, to the diagram. Salmon pass the most of their lives. Okay, so that's a problem. This is another big mistake actually, and this is something Grammarly really should get correct. We do not say the most of something. You can say it is the most interesting, it is the most amazing, or you could say most of something. But we can't say the most of something. It's not grammatically possible. So we delete this. Salmon pass most of their lives in the open sea, while the least in the upper river. That's not quite right. Say and, that would be a better connection there, and much less of their lives in the upper river. Yeah, that would fix it basically. So you can see that now there have been changes made that are quite different from what Grammarly suggested. Okay, and now we'll look to the 4th sample here, and to do that, copy and paste. Right, and very fast again. So Grammarly identifies 5 mistakes here, or I suppose that's 1. So 4 mistakes altogether. Okay, opinions related to globalization are much vary. So, are much vary, there's no way to say this in English. This is completely wrong. we would have to say very a lot. Oh, don't know where that came from. Very a lot. Or are much varied. Yeah, I guess we could say that. It's a little old-fashioned, a little weird. I don't like that. I think very should be our verb here, related to very. Vary greatly among individuals. Yeah, okay, that's better. Individuals, this is something so many IELTS students say. It's not a great word, to be honest. It doesn't magically replace the word people. If you haven't already said people 10 times already, then don't just replace it with individuals. It's not a perfect synonym. Opinions related to globalization vary greatly among people, as some considered it as positive approach. Okay, so first of all, this should be as a positive approach, or considered it a positive approach. I suppose both of those are fine. The problem here, though, Grammarly has not noticed this is in a weird tense. This is in past simple. We're talking about a general truth, something that's always going on. So we use present simple, as some consider it a positive approach. Remember, if this didn't just happen like one time in the past, it's not probably going to be correct to use past simple. While other deny this, just one other person? No. So it would be others. And Grammarly got this correct. Very good. While others deny this statement. So this bit here, I think, comma. Even though globalized world has some advantages, comma. So this is actually very good punctuation. I love to see this. This is something even a lot of native speakers can't do very well. So to contain that extra clause within 2 commas. So good job, whoever wrote this. That's really nice. So when you're editing this, it's quite useful to look at the main clause. I think the negative effects are much more critical. All right, good. But there's a problem here, though. Even though globalized world has some advantages. So here it's going to suggest the globalized world. Yeah, that's better. That's better. It's still not quite right. It's still not perfect. I think really what we want to say is to repeat globalization, because it's more likely that we're talking about the advantages of globalization. It's not ideal to replace this with the same word again and to have repetition. So it could be possible to say, even though it has some advantages, and in this case we're using a pronoun to repeat the idea of globalization. So that's good. Or we could even add globalization later in the sentence. I think even though it has some advantages, the negative effects of globalization are much more critical. So we've fixed this grammatically by using Grammarly and a human editor. And hopefully this goes some way to show you that Grammarly is very good, very fast, but it's probably not going to fix more than half of your mistakes. And over a much longer essay, it's probably going to add a few extra mistakes. And you, if you're learning English, might not know which is which. If it points out, oh, you made a mistake with an article, and you know, I have a problem with articles, maybe that's a very helpful thing, and you can look and you can see, yes, I was wrong, I made a mistake, and it can help you learn. So it could be very useful for that. That would be a really great tool. If you actually want to make your writing perfect and find out everything that's wrong, you need a human editor. And for that, you can go back to my website. There's me with a shorter beard and shorter hair before the pandemic. You can click up to Writing Correction Service, and this will take you to the main page where you can find all the relevant information here. And it tells you everything you get, full corrections, feedback, Band 9 model answer, 24-hour turnaround, that means how long it takes to get done, and a band score estimate for each section. There's some samples here as well of my work, so we can see these. These are PDFs, so you'll actually receive a Word document. I did PDF just so everything stays at the same place on the page, like this. So that's what it looks like. So for every mistake I'm going to change, you see I write a little description that will just explain it for you. And then I will go into more detail on the next page, like this. Said in your second paragraph, you wrote mass media effects changed the way. So we say have changed. Yeah. Right. Back to this. You can find the order information, but halfway down the page. You can see there are big discounts if you buy in bulk. You can just click that button buy, and you can pay using credit card, Alipay, PayPal, Bitcoin, whatever. Alright folks, hope this was useful for you. If you are interested in getting Grammarly, you can just go to grammarly.com and download it, give it a try. It might be very helpful for you. If you want your IELTS essays thoroughly checked, go to TED-IELTS.com. Alright, see you later.